Do hello, everybody, or whoever is here this fine Thursday morning, afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in. It's so good to be here. I'm going to add my trusty co-host Dave, and we're going to dive into some questions and some answers. Maybe we'll start with some witty banter or some positive marketing traits. Dave, how are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. Great to be here again. Always
good
good.
to see you. Oh, so good. I know, man. And I don't know about you, but I'm excited because end of August, we were just talking about how things are interesting across the world of business, how some businesses are experiencing slowdowns, others are seeing things pick up. But I think regardless is that we tend to see this uptick as summer winds down and people start to get ready to go back to school and go back to work and sort of like really get back into the swing of things. One obvious way that we're seeing this is like any of the cold emails that we're sending, the amount of auto replies that we get that are like, hey, I'm out of the office, I'll be back in a week or two. Like those are really, really high right now, which is again, just indicative of a different season.
Yeah. It's always the way as well. Like we do it every year, right? In business, and you see those seasons, but it comes along and you're like, oh, it's August again. It was the same
What
last
is
year.
happening?
And it was the same the year
Why
before.
is this? Yeah,
Always
exactly.
tripped up, right?
Yes, exactly. I think that's kind of why I like Christmas and the holidays and things like that as well, is that so many people slow down. And I mean, of course, yeah, spend time with your family. Don't neglect them and hide under the tree. But it's such a cool opportunity to double down on things because everybody else slows down and they take their foot off the gas. And if you can be the one to sort of sustain the pace that you were doing, maybe you don't have to push it overkill, but like you can really ride things through. And because everything that we do in business and marketing has some kind of a lag between the time that we do something and the results that we get, it allows you to sort of make a ton of progress in times when everybody else is sort of slowing down, and then they've got to like rebuild that momentum back up. Anish, hello, good to see you. Also, we should have, it's funny, I was thinking about this before. I was like, we didn't preload any questions here. So we can just riff on things until stuff comes in. Agency growth ideas, scaling
if you've got a
things.
question, drop it in the comments below. We're here to answer anything. Marketing, agency growth. If you're growing an agency or you're thinking about starting one, drop the questions in. We'll happily answer them. So yeah, we can riff away. We could probably talk for hours, just me and you, but we'd love to interact with you. And
that's it. Yeah, we won't let the questions interrupt our conversation. We'll just like have this conversation. Stuff with the questions. Yeah, okay. Well, there's one thing that I do want to talk about, which is the last couple pieces of content that I've made on Instagram specifically, made a little bit of a YouTube video on it, and they've been not my usual upbeat, happy tone. They were a little bit more aggressive and assertive in their delivery. And I think part of that was just a bit of frustration seeing some of the stuff that was going on. And I've got to try to almost remind myself sometimes that it's the vocal minority and it's not the people that show up and want to do things. But I think it's also important to understand that there is a very large percentage of the world out there. And not to be crass, but like we'll say the 99%, right? Like the vast majority of the world that not only are not pursuing their goals and pursuing their dreams, but they take offense to the fact that you would even consider doing it yourself. And so what they try to do is they whine and they complain and they criticize and they do everything they can to drag you down. And they're doing this not to be mean per se, because it really has nothing to do with you. This is really a self-reflection on them, but it has to do with them trying to justify their inaction and their fears and their failures and all of the things that they're unwilling to do. And it's so much easier to throw stones at someone that you're like, look at that guy going for his dreams and trying to do all these things, rather than sort of accepting the fact that, man, I'm really settling here. I am living a very average life and things are not going the way that I want them to. That is a painful pill to swallow. Now, the thing for you is you need to understand that if you want to have what others don't have, you need to do things that others are unwilling to do. And a lot of that has to do with just accepting the fact that this criticism is coming and these negative attitudes are out there. They may be from very well-intentioned people, friends, family, partners, people that you've grown up with. And again, they're trying to protect you in a way. And they're trying to protect themselves in an even bigger way because they've got dreams and they're not following them and they feel bad. And they don't like their jobs either. And they don't like the way their business is going. And all of these things, but they're too scared to take action. So when they see someone taking action, it reminds them that yes, they actually are in control, and that's terrifying. So Thoughts there?
Yeah, that was
Yes,
a big run.
definitely. That was a huge rant, dude. Yeah, I think it was like, it's been getting bottled up more and more, and it has less to do, I think, with like personal development and belief and affirmations and all of that, and more just a real basic understanding of human psychology. Actually, you know what triggered this all, I think, was that the Canadian government came out. Actually, Etienne, yes, we will try to make this available after. They never have any guarantees because I have technical issues all the time. Dave never has technical issues. He's a magician. I have all of them. But like the Canadian government came out and they're like, yeah, we're raising taxes on high net worth individuals. And I think it was for anybody making over, say, like $300K a year. And their plea or their argument was, hey, this isn't going to affect 99% of Canadians, so don't even worry about it. It's totally fine. But like those of us in the 1%, what we look at it as is like appealing to the masses, which is what politics is. We're not going to go down this road. But it's important to understand that like this is the mentality that people have. Now we can talk about like why this is a bad thing and people are going to leave. We have something called the brain drain where all the smartest people tend to leave the countries with high tax rates and go to other places. But the point is like that is the mass consensus, which is the reason that I like B2B markets, business to business. I like dealing with business owners. I like agencies because we deal with business owners. It's just so much easier than trying to sell shoes or shampoo or whatever it is to a market that just doesn't fully get it. All right. On that note, like this was planted, Jacopo, good timing, my friend. Is it possible to have a 7-figure agency without being overwhelmed and stressed out all the time? And the answer is clear, unequivocal, yes, 100%. In fact, it's possible to have, in many ways, actually, a 7-figure agency is less stressful than a 6-figure agency. Certainly less stressful than a 5-figure agency because then you're trying to just keep the lights on and make sure things that are going on. But yeah, in many ways, I look at like, when we're looking at marketing agencies and building them up and trying to scale them, like the first step really is that 10K month. Like we got to get there. First, I guess, is getting some kind of paying client and proof like, wow, this actually works. I can do this. Then it's getting to 10K because then you have control over your financial future. You can do what you want. You can live where you want. Our agencies are location independent. You can go wherever you want. But some magic does happen at 7 figures because to go from 6 to 7 figures, you can't just work harder. Right? Like you look at anybody that's got a 6-figure agency making 100K a year, 200K a year, they're probably putting in some pretty decent hours, 8 to 10 hours a day. So their thought is like, well, if I want to make 10 times more, I'm physically incapable of working 10 times longer. You can't work 100 hours in a 24-hour day. So you have to think differently. You've got to be like, well, who can help me? How do I delegate? How do I leverage? How do I find systems and automations and processes? How do I 80-20 my clients so I'm only working with the best, the most profitable clients, the ones I'm able to get the best results for? What are the services where I have the highest margins? Your whole paradigm shifts and changes. So yes, in fact, in many ways, I like that initial goal of 6 figures because I find some people find that 7-figure goal a little bit overwhelming when they're first starting. That was me for sure. Like when someone told me you could build a 7-figure agency, I thought they were kind of full of it. So yeah, set the 6-figure first, but as soon as you have it, I'd set the next goal. And you make it 7 figures. And then without being stressed out and overwhelmed. Yeah. I can't think of one way that my life is less or is more stressful now than it was before. Like there's this expression that I sort of agree with, which is like money solves all problems. There's really nothing that having more money won't solve, especially in a business context, right? Like you need help, you hire help. You need this, you do that. You don't like that client, you fire them. Thoughts on that one there, Dave?
Yeah, I think that's key. I think when you look at stress and overwhelm, I think it's usually down to like you still holding on to a lot of the tasks that you shouldn't be. And when you start to see a business scale, you should have more money. And if you've got more money, then you can hire people in the right places. So again, I think it's in the reverse. I think when you first start an agency, it might feel stressful and overwhelming. But as you learn more, as you get more clients and as you make more money, that's when it dissipates and you get less stress and overwhelmed. So yeah, definitely 7 figures. Like you should have a good team, good systems, getting good results, clients coming through. Like I think that's the best part and where I would aspire really to get to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's another thing. Dan Sullivan calls it cash confidence, which is your ability to generate money. And the beauty is like once you've got an agency to 7 figures, it's almost like a black belt, say in martial arts. It's like you know the fundamentals, you know the principles. Like you could go out there and do it again, and then do it again and do it again. Like it's I think people think of it as way more complicated than it actually is, when what it really is these like simple, almost boring, repetitive behaviors that we just do again and again and again. And we get better at them and we improve them a little bit, and then they make more money, and then we fix it and we do it again. So by the time you've done like a 7-figure agency, like, yeah, you could just run, I don't want to say all the time, but like you can do it right. You can run that thing on autopilot. I've got agencies right now that I don't do anything for, like at all. Check in once in a while, make sure everything's running okay, and wave a little bit, and they're like, "Hey, we're good. We got this." So yeah, doable. Clark, people just don't want to do the behaviors required to grow a business. Yeah, that's it. They want the reward without the effort, which I think is like most things in life, which is why, again, Dave and I, like, we just like business owners. We like agency owners. We like marketers. We like people that do the behaviors that are required to grow a business. I think also what's fascinating is that the work required to grow a business is the same amount of work to like get a job or go to school or do something else. It's like there's no escaping doing some kind of work in this life. Like, we're going to have to do work for no other reason than because it's fulfilling in and of itself. Like, we need to be productive members of society. So it's madness to me that someone would go to, like, I don't know, say getting an MBA. It's a perfect example, a master's of business. So you need a 4-year degree in business administration. Then you need like 2 or 3 years more of additional post-secondary education. And normally it's a stalling tactic because they don't want to go out and like start their own business or get a job, or I shouldn't say normally, many times in my experience, the people I know with MBAs, they'd go back and get a PhD in business, and then they'd get like something else because it's safe in that learning environment. But to me, it's madness, because I was like, you just dedicated like 4 or 6 or 7 years of your life to this thing that's made you no money, that's cost you hundreds of thousands, where you could have just applied probably less effort. It's probably less effort to start and scale a profitable $1 million business than it is to get like a degree or an MBA. So full disclosure, I have a marketing degree, not an MBA. And it was, I don't want to say a waste of time, but like not required. And the amount of work that I had to do to get it was a lot of work, like case studies and looking at marketing campaigns, none of which were for me, none of which made me any money. It was madness. Madness, I tell you, Dave. Madness.
You're on one today.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, so frustrated. There's so many good people, right? Like with so much potential, and frustrated. And I think they just got to keep going. Etienne, for a beginner who wants to start a marketing agency, how do you get clients and where do you start? Yeah, awesome question. So I'm going to point you to like a ton of videos on this one as well, because we've got full playlists on exactly that. In fact, I probably don't have it up here. That's fine. You can find it on the main channel. That said, we won't leave you hanging. How do you break it down? Dave, you want to take this one? What's like the high level overview steps if you had to put them down in 5, and then I'll go after?
Yeah. So for anyone who wants to start marketing, how do you get clients and where do you start? I think really the first thing you want to identify is your niche. You've got to decide where you want to go, like who do you want to actually work with. From there, once you've decided your niche, you can decide on like, well, what services does that niche require? Like what can I service them with? Again, if we do it the other way around and we think about, like, we see a lot of people talk like, hey, I want to run Facebook ads, but Facebook ads don't work for a certain niche, then you were doing it backwards. So niche, think about your services. And then from there, like how I started was just like, I spoke to people in my inner circle. I had conversations because I didn't have any skills in that area yet. So I would give my services out for free to learn it. And honestly, a lot of the time I did a good job and I learned on the job. They were like, hey, I want to pay you for this now. So that's where I really started to get my first couple of clients. Now that might have only been at $300, $500, but it was enough to kind of get me in the door and be like, I can sell this. And then from there, it was just going into cold outreach, really refining my offer, my niche, what I do, getting results, getting testimonials. And then, cold outreach in emails, cold outreach in DMs, started to do content. And then the agency starts to grow from there.
Yeah, that's it. That's my path as well. It was like, I think I did it backwards the first few times. So it was like very much service based. Like, I'm going to do web design, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. Worked with far too many different kinds of clients. And so I basically made all the mistakes in the book early on, which is why it took so long to scale to like profitable numbers. Like I hit 6 figures by just blood, sweat, and tears, just brute force, which is silly because there's like such a better way to do it with so much less effort. And then once we figured it out, it basically always comes down to the same. It's like we pick a niche. Once we have the niche, exactly like Dave said, then we line up the services with it. Conversations are your magic weapon. It's like we need to have conversations with people in your niche, and they will tell you exactly what they need and exactly what they're willing to pay for. It's magic. It's magic. It's not rocket science or brain surgery or rocket surgery. It's none of these things. It's like you just have to go out there and follow the steps and follow the process, and good things happen. And then of course just stay committed to the process. But yes, tons of videos on that as well. If you Google or YouTube search how to start an agency, Adam Erhart, things like that, you'll find it. One enemy. Funny name, actually. Everybody's going to have an enemy. People think like haters and skeptics are a number. They're a percentage. So it's like if 1% of the people just aren't going to like you and you have like 100 people following, like that's 1. But if you have 1,000, it's like 10. If you have 100,000, it's going to be like 100 people. So yes, we gotta be confident in what we're doing. Do you think it's a good idea to reposition services such as reputation management into an AI solution called Trust AI? Same service, just different angle? The answer is maybe. So I'm a big fan of positioning and like putting your spin on it. We call it like a magic bullet and coming up with a signature system, all these things inside the program. And they are important, right? So that you are differentiated from people around you. The fact that you say AI is cautions me a little bit, simply because like everybody's pushing the AI train. Now it's working right now for sure. Like I'm not going to argue that. Like a lot of people pushing like AI marketing and AI agencies and AI chatbots, and it's like it's working, but it's not going to forever because everyone's pushing it. And eventually this kind of buzzword of AI is going to fall off the map. Not to mention clients at the end of the day, despite what they say, they don't care like what you do or how you do it. They only care about the results you generate. So they don't care if you're using AI or manual labor or this or that or the other thing. Again, I'm watching so many offers right now, like trying to inject AI everywhere that it like just doesn't fit. And they're like, it's AI this and AI that. And there's this marketer who I love, and I won't name him. I don't want to call him out. And he's been around forever, decades. Great marketer. And I looked at his latest launch. It's in there too. It's like how to do this, but with AI. And I was like, oh God, why? Don't do it. You have such a good system and it's such a good offer. And now you're jumping on this like bandwagon. So yeah, I think maybe, but again, think of all the things that go along with AI as well. Like, is there implied less touch points, less personalization, more robotics? Is it going to be a low level price thing? So I think rep management is super solid. I think AI is super solid. It's going to be dependent on your market.
Yeah, I feel like people just throw AI in there now as well. It doesn't even have AI. Like, it just has .io at the end of the domain, yes. And then it's like it's got AI, and I'm like, does it? Does it really? And I feel like we've already kind of gone over that initial like buzz of ChatGPT, and you know, a lot of these tools I'll go in and be like, I could have done that better myself. Like, I think ChatGPT is amazing and it can speed up a lot of the time. But like, I've seen a lot of the video editors, a lot of image creators, and I'm like, it's not that good yet, but it will probably get there. It's going to get there, but we're still in these like Wild West days of it. I mean, from like a deliverability point, I'm not even really concerned about that. I'm more concerned about like the positioning point and the view that the client's going to take on seeing another like AI thing. So I'd test both. I'd run it as like Trust AI still. It's a good name. I like it. But then I'd on my sales page or on my calls, I would be testing different positions of like, how much do I really mention AI and do they care? Like actually care? Not do they say they care, but like, do they actually care? Do they know about AI as well? Like, I still speak to people. They're like, I don't know what AI is. Like, what is
this? I? How do you pronounce that? I?
Yeah. You forget, like, again, the world that we're in agencies, marketing, like, we know a lot that, you know, some businesses, bricks and mortar, don't. Like, they're just still selling their shoes, and they don't realize that there's all these AI products in this online world out there.
Yeah. Phenomenal. I think that's what makes this marketing thing so exciting for us, is that it's my greatest response to anybody that's like marketing saturated or agencies are saturated. Or do you know, there's countless millions of small businesses out there. And like none of them know what they're doing when it comes to marketing. I wish they did. They're good people. They're trying to provide for their families and offer good service, but they're just, they're in the dark there. So opportunities. Sell with Nate. How can I get mentorship once I start approaching 7 figures? The link, we should put a link to the program. You don't have to be approaching 7 figures as well to do it. I'm going to have to find the link. Where is it? join here.
Sell by Nate. I mean, again, different names. Is he not already in the program?
Depends which Nate. Which Nate, my friend? Are you looking for like other stuff, Nate? Or anyway, I'll drop the link in there anyway if this is not the right Nate. How many Nates do we have?
Yeah, it's Nathan.
Oh, Nathan. Okay. So yeah, you're in the right place then, dude. You're in the program. You talk to us and we will help you. That's what we're there for.
We'll get you to 7 figures and then we'll go from there.
We'll go from there. Exactly. The beauty is like from 7 to 8 figures. First of all, I think the big question is if you have an agency at 7 and you want to go to 8, the first question is why do you want to go to 8? Like if it's for the badge of honor of having like an 8-figure agency, sure. Nobody really cares. Or is it for the profitability of it? Because from personal experience, there's this sweet spot with agencies at like 1, 2, 3 mil a year. It's a nice sweet spot. After that, like your logistics go up, your operations go up, you need all kinds of other stuff to go in. Your profitability starts to go down a little bit more. So it's like, what do you really need and what do you really want? And then we design things that way. Clark, you got a good question. Let me see, where did it go? Etienne, how do you approach those clients? Yeah, I think Dave said there as well. It's like cold DMs, fantastic, cold emails. Yeah, you'll find a lot of stuff in there. Clark, when should an agency owner transition their team from independent contractors to employees? I love this question. I saw this pop up and I was like, oh, my opinion, never. You can, but like from a tax perspective, terrible. It's bad for you and it's bad for them because then they're no longer contractors. So now they can't deduct business expenses. There might be some kind of like healthcare or benefits or something like that, but like you could get those without having employees. To me, an employee is like, I don't want to say like an old school notion of how like a business should run, but it is a bit of an outdated concept in regards to, there's also a different mindset when someone switches over from there. They feel less empowered to like go for the team. You'd think it would be the opposite. You'd be like, now I'm an employee, but in many cases it breeds like I don't want to say a false sense of safety or security because like we have contractors we've worked with for like the better part of a decade now. And we'll continue to do so. But yeah, I don't believe ever. I guess the one exception would be maybe you want to put someone in-house and bring them into the office and have them there, in which case I guess so. But I think that's more of almost like an accounting and tax question. Because there's certain, again, if they're in the office every single day and that they're technically an employee anyway. So then there may be some benefits. But from my perspective, we used to have employees and we transitioned them mutually with their agreement to contractors, and everybody ended up happier and with more money.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, I don't know, you're not as agile when you start having employees and they rely on you a lot more. And then also you become a bit of a HR department and you've got to deal with holidays and deal with sickness. And whereas with a contractor, you give them a job, you set that date to get that done. And if they don't, like, they might not get paid. So like there's a difference and the work as well. You're also like, you can get different contractors in, you can bring them up. Like, you know, if August isn't that busy, you can say, sorry, I've not got any work for you this month, but next month we may. And you can be way more flexible with your hours. Whereas if you've got an employee, you don't want them just scrolling through Instagram all day and not being productive for you.
Yeah. I think even with the contractors we have, some of them are project based and some of them are like full retainer based. So they do technically work a quote unquote 40-hour work week inside the program and inside the agency and inside all of that. And they have that consistency and that stability, but without the tax headaches and all of that. So yes, but again, not a lawyer. Talk to your local lawyer. Yeah. Etienne, what are the books you'd recommend in order to learn marketing or people to learn from besides you guys are amazing? Well, that's very kind of you, Etienne. Thank you for the kind words. Dude, there's so many books. I think the better question almost is which part of marketing do you find most interesting? And then we start there. Because like marketing is a huge thing, right? It's all these things. So do you want to learn like data and analytics? Do you want to learn copywriting? Do you want to learn social? Do you want to learn the psychology behind it? and then go from there. I think anything like high level overview from Seth Godin is good to sort of like retrain your brain into how marketing works. This is Marketing. It's a pretty good book to start with. Oh man, from there, like the list is literally endless depending on what you want to do. I've got a reading list actually. It's aerh.co/reading. I'll put that in there. Do you have like a favorite book, Dave, that you like?
Favorite book? Not marketing wise, but I've not read any recently because I'm just creating content and do
Yeah.
business. But yeah, my favorite book probably in general was a military based book where it was like basically talking about extreme ownership. So, and it works in
Yeah,
business.
yeah, it's a good
Like
book.
talking about like everything's your problem. So you
Yeah,
just take extreme ownership of it. And I kind of applied that to business. And when I did that, problems never really got to me anymore. And I was like, cool,
yeah,
that was my fault. I'll fix it, move on.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was one that really stuck with me.
Yeah, that's a good one. I learned about accountability back when I used to be a pilot, is that like everything was my fault or my whatever it was. Like and it wasn't even just from a business perspective. It was because if I did it wrong, I would die. So it's like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna take control. Like, did I put the full fuel caps on? It's like, no, you didn't. That's your fault. It's like, we're gonna die then. Like, maybe go
And I
check the
pressed the right
caps.
button.
Yeah, exactly. So many buttons. Who designed these planes? Yeah, I like that. I think that's important. But yeah, start with those. Check out the reading list, and I think you'll find some good stuff in there. A niche. How to be consistent and how important is to carry the momentum to achieve 10K a month, because I'm having difficulties in those areas. That's why I'm unable to scale to 10K. Yeah, consistency is important. Oh man, I have so many thoughts on this one. We talk about this a lot, which means that my brain just wants to like rattle off everything that we can say at once. I think in a nutshell, if you're not hitting 10K a month, which I believe is doable by most, if not everyone that really sticks with it, a couple things are happening. The first of which is that your day is probably doing too many things that are non-revenue generating activities. So we've got something called RGA, revenue generating activity. And it's a very small list. It's a small list. So it's like outreach, talking to clients, asking for referrals, trying to get in front of more potential prospects. Like those are revenue generating activities that make you money. And if we take a look at our agencies, as well as all of our top performing students, like their day is predominantly RGAs. That's it. The ones that are struggling and not doing it, their day is primarily non-revenue generating activities, making content, fixing a website, updating a logo, scrolling on social media, doing market research by watching other stuff, like stuff that's not actually moving the needle forward. You do more revenue generating activities, you make more revenue. Like that's it. So we've got to find what those things are and we have to do them. Other than that, I think it's really just like, we got to calendar it and schedule it and put it in the, put it in the calendar. I got a good comment by someone the other day, and their story was similar to mine, where they were talking about like starting their agency, and they were like, I don't know when to do this because I get up, I commute, I work all day, I come home, I make food for the kids, I do this, and like I'm exhausted and I go to bed. And I was like, I totally get it. That was me. We have to wake up earlier. Not a lot, but like 30 minutes to 60 minutes, because you're not going to do it at the end of the day. You have to do it earlier in the day. And that's it. And this is not a forever thing. I think that's the other thing, is like the amount of work that you have to put in is like pushing a boulder and getting that momentum going. And then once it goes, like it's rolling pretty well. And then we just kind of keep nudging it along. But in the early days, yeah, we have to put in. And then I think final part, and I'll pass it over to Dave here, is you've got to remind yourself of why you're doing this and what it means to you. Like Nietzsche. He who has a strong enough why can find or bear almost any how. Like that's really what we're doing here, is why is this important? Why do you want a 10K a month agency? What does it mean? Are you going to look after your friends, your family? Are you going to look after yourself? Are you going to be able to move somewhere or live better? And then the flip side, what if you don't? Right? You don't have to. So what does that look like? Let's fast forward your life 6 months, 6 years, 60 years. Now what's life look like? And what's that? And if it scares the shit out of you, that's okay. I'm fine with that. Like, you're allowed to be terrified of this life that doesn't change and doesn't help you do the things that you want to do. Whatever's going to help sort of motivate you and push you in that direction. But I draw on those on like a daily basis, all the time. I'm either pushing myself forward with like, these are the dreams that I want for me and my family and my students and my friends, or here's all the fears I have of unrealized potential. For me now, the big thing is like, giving off the impression to my kids that it's okay not to pursue things. I'm terrified of that, of them like seeing daddy binge watching Netflix on the couch at like 2 p.m. on Wednesday, like a can of soda and a pizza. I'm like, don't you work? Yeah, exactly. Just a regular Wednesday at the Erhart house. Yeah. Actually, it was funny because our neighbor came over yesterday and I was playing board games with my kids at like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And they sort of know what I do, but not really. And they were just dropping off some mail that got delivered to their house instead. And you can always see the like double take of like, it's 2 p.m. Why are you playing like Connect 4 with the kids? Don't you have a job? It's like, nah. Anyway, it's funny. Anyway, I'll pass that to you there, buddy.
Yeah, aggressive RGA. Like it's quite. I've just got off one of our client calls then, and there was a client on there. I won't name names, but he's gone aggressive on cold calling, and the smile on his face was great. He was like, "Dude, I've just started aggressive cold calling, and I've booked 3 appointments from 20 calls today." And I'm like, oh, "I love it." And he's only been building his agency for 6 months, but he's just getting out there and doing it, and he's starting the day hitting the phones. And then he said he went for a walk around the lake, came back, hit the phones again. I'm like, oh, this is like those types of clients when we're working with them, like they just get out there and do it. And I think it can be hard when you do it on your own, if you haven't got a community and people around you, but you've just got to push through, whether it's cold DMs, whether it's cold outreach, whether it's cold phone calls, whether it's walking into bricks and mortar stores, whatever it is. You've just got to get in front of more people. And that's the only thing that's stopping you from getting to 10K. Because once you've got those clients, you'll get the results. You'll find a way. But it's just getting those clients. And like we said at the start of this live, like there's hundreds of thousands of businesses that need your help. Like I see, millions, I mean, especially after COVID, I saw so many businesses like fold and stop working. I'm like, if only they just like got clever. And we saw a lot of businesses like change their offer and go online or do this. And I was like, oh, they're clever. Like they're going to ride this COVID wave and then come back through. And I think there's so many businesses still out there that you can help. So
yeah, right on. Yeah. The best thing to do is action, any kind of action, anything, even a baby step is the right step. Something you can do for like 5 minutes. Just go do that. But like, we need to get that going. Etienne, what's the difference between SMMA and digital marketing? And do you need videos? How important is that in getting results? What has worked for you so far? It's like 4 questions in one, but we can do them all. SMMA is like my least favorite word in the world, but it's simply because it just got like butchered and bastardized and adopted by everything.
It stands. We know it as well. Like SMMA.
Yeah, true. It's a very inside term
known in the marketing world.
That's it, exactly. So SMMA, for anybody listening, is Social Media Marketing Agency. That's it. It's also a marketing agency. It's also an agency. It's also a social agency. It's like all digital marketing these days has, I shouldn't say all, most digital marketing has an element of social to it. So every agency is in some way an SMMA. Now, typically, I guess if you want to go like by the book definition standard, it would be like a marketing agency that does lead gen using social media, organic or ads. But again, these are just terms. They're basically irrelevant. So we use the term agency. Can be an SMMA, can be a marketing agency, could be a lead gen agency, a growth agency, a conversion agent. It doesn't really matter. Like we're providing marketing services for clients in exchange for a fee. Digital marketing is like the tools that we use. Digital marketing is just the opposite of, say, traditional marketing. So traditional marketing is like TV, radio, billboards, newspapers. Digital marketing, everything digital. Email, social, ads, stuff like that. Do you need videos? No, but they're helpful. How important it in getting results? Yeah, they're helpful, but you don't need them. There's other ways. And what has worked for you so far? Videos. You're like, but you don't need them. You don't need to do video. If you hate video and you never want to be on video, don't do video. There's so many other options. But like what has worked so far? I think pretty much like what Dave said right in the beginning when we were spelling out like how to go get clients and build an agency. It really was that. It was finding the niche, crafting the offer that overcame their problems. And then it was just like this regular commitment to revenue generating activities. That was it. And then not quitting. That's probably the biggest one, actually. If I think about it, it was just like literally not quitting. There's this quote. I don't know who said it either. Let's say Tony Robbins, I think, probably from Jim Rohn. Most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but grossly underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And, I can't even begin to tell you, like, if you stick with something for 6 months, your life is going to be so much better at the end of that 6 months. It's going to be unrecognizable. But if you carry on that trend for a few more years, say 4 years, right? Like the time it takes to get a traditional degree, you're going to be unrecognizable. Like I can't even begin to describe how much different my life is now than it was 4 years ago, 10 years ago for sure, before I started this stuff. Like insane, like not even, and I didn't even believe it was possible. So I went through this whole process up until even a few years ago, pretty skeptical of like, I'm not sure this is actually going to work, but I'm going to just keep taking the actions and doing the things. And then slowly but surely it grew and it compounds pretty hard. Cool. Gilbert growing the stash. We're getting there. We're seeing every time. No, not really. Yeah, that's just sort of like the style of it. I just haven't shaved enough. Every time I do like a little bit more, I always get a cue from my wife who's like, "Oh, it looks like it's time to shave." Just like that's how I know it's time for a haircut. She's like, "Oh, it looks like it's time for a haircut." I was like, "Clue taken or cue taken." So we will see. All right, Nate's in. Right on. Good. Yeah, we got the one. 10-4 rubber duck. Maybe Frank Kern. So many things are Frank Kern. Yeah. Frank Kern was a big inspiration and mentor early on in my career. Still is actually still a super smart dude. Gilbert, Adam, a question for you. Being Canadian, what would you say are all the differences a beginner must watch out that is different from the US? A to P being one. Oh, right on. Okay. I would say, actually, this will be interesting for Dave to answer as well, because Dave's in the UK. So we have similar things. I think none, honestly. I wouldn't even worry about like A to P stuff. Like these are non-issue technical questions that will stop you from doing things that are important. So as a quote unquote Canadian with, who's always had 99% US based clients, including the big guys like Google and Meta and Amazon and Snapchat and Adobe and Shutterstock and HubSpot and like all US based companies as clients, nobody cares. They just don't care. And it's never been a factor. You need a special tax form, I think, called a W-8 Ben, maybe, but like you download it and then you.
How confusing are they?
Oh, they're
every
awful.
time I fill one out, I'm like, how did you even do this?
Yeah. What's your blood type and what's your firstborn child's name? And if you were a star sign, what would it be? And what's your favorite animal? Yeah, it's ridiculous. So my accountant does all that. Bless his soul. But like nothing. I'd say no differences. And in fact, I don't mind the question, but I'm cautious of those ones. Like anytime that we get a question that's really technical or looking for technical details, it's normally not you, Gilbert, other people. So this is aimed at you. But it's normally someone trying to find like what else do I have to know? How do I make sure I'm prepared? And that's just like, they just don't care. So yes.
Yeah, I mean, I was the same. I had majority of the US clients, so again, had no issues. Again, there's ways around A2P for Canada, for the UK. I mean, A2P is going to be across the whole world at some point, and they'll regulate everyone. We don't have it in the UK right now, so yeah. But to message in the US, I need to have it, so I just registered. So yeah, there's ways around, and I think the US is. I just love the US. There's just so much to go at. Clients are great, people are great. So yeah, I think if you're Canadian wanting to do it in the US, absolutely fine.
Yeah. No, the US is really, it's an amazing market. So I've got my visa allows me to live and stay and work and all that in the US. And as a Canadian with that kind of privilege, the US market is just typically a better market for us. It's a more capitalistic and economically open environment as well. So there's certain things, it's like in Australia, there's that tall poppy syndrome where it's like you chop down anybody that's doing well. Canada has that to an extent. I think the UK does to an extent. Many Commonwealth countries, basically. Whereas if you look at like more free trade societies, the US probably being like the dominant one there. And then certain parts of the Middle East actually are opening up more to that as well. India, China, maybe not anytime soon, but hopefully one day. But like all of these places that are going to be more open to the idea of capitalism and that are just good markets. People that believe in like value and service and exchange. So yeah, that's it. I love all my Canadian clients too. All 1% of them that are there, but they're amazing. They're good. You got to pay GST. That's the other thing in Canada. If you have a Canadian client, you got to pay GST. And I think in the UK, you got to pay like some other thing. VAT. Yeah.
20%.
Exactly.
Right. Get a US client. I'm like, hey, accountant, I don't have to pay VAT on this.
No, 20% on this one. And you live in Canada, you also get like 89% tax rate, which is, we'll go to, that's another discussion for another day. Clark, yes. Okay, contractors, right on. From Canada, now live in the US, government here actually considers my contractors employees. So, yeah, exactly. If you have contractors that are like in-house working full-time, they won't be like, that's not a contractor. But again, you know the drill.
There's ways around it. Speak to a lawyer and just double check.
Yeah, kick them out of the office. Everybody work from home now. Actually, you don't have to do that. I think office work is important. Okay, let's see. Yes, I've got that on my phone. It's like in my audiobook. Yeah, it's good. I like a lot of his stuff. Gary's stuff is interesting as well. His YouTube strategy and content strategy in general has not evolved in the last little bit, and it's suffering a little bit. I watched Chris Do from the future make some content on this one, and it was fascinating because Gary was like just dominating all social and then didn't really pivot, and then it's sort of fallen off a lot. So less views and less things. I think I don't know whether the problem is like when you're financially secure, the motivations often change and wane, and you've got to find that like drive. And some of the stuff we do is hard, especially if you want to like be the tip of the spear and just like chart new paths. That said, there's another thing that's happening right now with video that I'm watching, and I'm sad for it, and I'm waiting for it to get taken over. There's this thing going on people are watching where it's like no edited or low edited videos where they're just like, anyone can succeed and you just need a low edited video and just hit record and YouTube people are blowing up. And that's not true. It's just like, it's the biggest load of garbage I've ever heard, because it's not that the video has no editing. It's that they're equating it with low effort. So they're like, you can just literally hit record and record content and you're going to be just fine. But what they fail to realize is those people that are succeeding with that typically have unbelievably charismatic personalities, like way beyond what I have. They're fluent and everyone loves them, or they have this incredible life story that makes them related. And then the timing is everything. So anyway, we will see. I think it's a sad bubble. I hate watching stuff like this where someone comes out and they're like, this is the greatest thing and now everyone can win with it. I was like, that's not true. No one's going to win with that. You know what's going to work? Like effort, spending time to write a good script, trying to think of something to say. Anyway, all full of piss and vinegar. Let's see. One enemy. When presenting an offer to a business, what are your thoughts on opening with a small one solution offer or a package of say 3 solutions and work down if needed? Yep, I like it. I prefer having options, and we start at the top because of a psychological phenomenon, a cognitive bias known as anchoring. So the first price you see is going to impact and influence all of the future prices you say. In other words, if I say, hey, this first package is $5,000, I don't think it's right for you, but I'll walk you through it anyway. But we also have this other package for $2,500, and we do have a lower one. I don't think it's going to fit you, but if you're happy, if you want, I'm happy to walk you through it as well. That's my pitch, basically. Adjust your prices as necessary. Dave?
I'm in.
Okay,
Can I buy
perfect.
it? Yeah, I like the solutions as well, because again, we've spoken about it quite a few times, especially when you meet someone brand new, they might be cold and you want something just to get in the door. So if you can give them like a quick solution that you're in the door, you work with them, and then you can be like, hey, do you need help with this? Do you need help with that? And then you can start adding more things to your service. So yeah, I like the small one solution offer that can help you get in the door and then obviously build from there.
Yeah. I guess that's the other thing. Are we talking about like during the sales call when they've already said, yeah, I'm in, or are we talking about like for lead gen and prospecting? Because if we're using for like lead gen and cold outreach and prospecting, then yeah, we don't hit them with 3 packages in like an email, because that's overwhelming and they don't even know who you are. There we like some kind of cold offer. Hey, would you like a free website or free ad or this or that or 20 new leads or something. And then once they say yes, then we can present them with more things. Lou, as a senior SEO analyst, should I start a website and YouTube as a personal brand or a business brand? Oh, good question. I love these questions too. These are good questions today. Easy answer, my friend. Personal brand. Easy answer. And the reason is because people don't like doing business with businesses. They like doing business with people. If you have a really strong personal brand, you can then guide and direct that traffic to whatever business that you so choose. So yes. That was easy. I don't think I have too much more to say on that one. We've talked about this one a ton. It's like, it's pretty much always a personal brand. I don't mind if you have a business brand, like as your website in the back end, but like all of your social media platforms should be your name.
Yeah, I agree. Personal brand for the win.
What are the must-have team members as you grow your team? The first one is probably some kind of administrative assistant to make sure that things are staying on track and you're showing up for calls and people are getting billed. That can be a virtual assistant. They're not expensive and they're lifesavers. From there, it's going to be service specific. So it's typically some kind of a contractor. This could be like someone to help with SEO or citations or social or whatever it is. Following that, a bookkeeper. They don't have to be in-house for sure. Bookkeeper and an accountant. Do not mess with your own accounting and bookkeeping and taxes and stuff like that. It's just not worth, unless that's your thing, it's not worth your time. And then, yeah, I think those are the big ones to get you at least to 7 figures.
Yeah, I'd also look at what you're doing day to day and getting rid of anything that's not RGA and going to grow the business.
Yes.
Anything that you can't replicate, you should be doing every day, like videos, maybe it's sales calls. I mean, you can get salespeople in, but anything that's going to grow the revenue of the business, you might want to keep for now, and
Yeah.
then look at like getting rid of everything else so that you can just concentrate on growth. And then as it scales, you might say, right, well, I can get a sales team in on, but like for example, YouTube videos, we both create YouTube videos. We can't get anyone else to replicate that. So for you, Adam, you get rid of everything else and just shoot YouTube videos. So again, looking
As
at the
much as
business that
possible.
way
Yeah.
can help.
Yeah. In fact, when I was in like the super heavy scaling phase of my agency, I got rid of like legitimately everything. Not just from the business, but like my personal life as well. So I had, like we had a chef, we had lawn mowing, we had house cleaning, we had, kids pick up from school. It got to the point where it was excessive and it wasn't the life that I
Didn't
wanted.
exist.
Yeah. I was like, have you seen Dad? He's working, man. Yeah. It was, I didn't like that life, but it was interesting to see. So now we're down to like the chef for like, a few nights a week, and then I cook for a few nights a week and we'll go out or whatever it is. And I mow the lawn again, which I kind of like, cause I didn't like someone random showing up at the house anyway. House cleaning. Yeah, exactly. House cleaning is still done by other people, but we get the kids to help with it as well. Like every day we have our daily chores. So it's like, I think what ended up happening, it was useful to go to that incredibly extreme, like basically I don't, like I'll call it like a billionaire routine of like, I'm just going to focus, and to realize I was like, I don't like this. This is just, it's a weird life and I feel totally detached, and then to take it back. But inside the business, I'm still very much like that. So if there's something that I don't like doing, I do it as little as possible, or only enough to go find someone else that's able to do it at like 80% as effective as I am or more. Which, fun fact, when you're not very good at something and you don't like it, other people are usually better at it than you, and they can do it faster. So yes, start there. Tech. Yeah.
Tech.
It's funny. I just, yeah, Dave's always getting pinged. Can we fix this link? We send this in? We need this thing there? Yeah. I used to know it all, and then not so much. Katrina. Katrina? Write that in for me. Make sure I'm right. I think I remember. Katrina. Good to see you. Lane, would you say YouTube inbound is the best lead gen method for agencies? I would not say that. But we can, this is a deeper one. So there's so many thoughts on this one all at once. We're going to break this down into 2 separate thoughts. The first of which is that there's 2 real ways of like generating leads for your agency. One of which is inbound, one of which is outbound. I think if we're talking about inbound, then yes, YouTube is by far the best. Full stop, period. Nothing comes close. If we're comparing all of them together, then YouTube does not appear on that list until like way down there. Cold DM, cold email, cold call, networking, joint ventures, affiliates, like all of those are going to take precedence over YouTube. And again, a lot of it depends on like where your agency is at. Like if you're doing less than $10,000 a month, then YouTube needs to be like a 3rd, 4th, 5th project that you're working on. Super helpful. Definitely do it. Like if you're in this for the long game, but it's not going to bring in the cash right away. Over 10K a month, actually, let's say even like 20 or 30, then yeah, we start wanting to put it in pretty quickly. Like nothing else builds the level of trust and relationship and power that YouTube does. You just can't do anything like this with a Facebook post or an Instagram story or a goofy TikTok dance. Dave.
Yeah. It takes time as well. Like, again, if you're looking for YouTube inbound, it takes time to build a channel, it takes time to build trust with people, and it's also not predictable. So like, you don't know if you're going to get an inbound lead, like 1 a week, 2 a week, 1 every month. Whereas with outbound, it's all a numbers game, and you can put in those numbers to get out a certain percentage of those leads. So yeah, like Adam said, like outbound is where we go to predict sales in your agency, whereas obviously YouTube's more of a long-term play to grow kind of the overall agency, and then long-term, yeah, you'll start to see inbound come in from YouTube.
Actually, funny note, you know what we didn't even mention at all? Ads. We didn't even talk about ads. I didn't even say it in my thing, which I think is indicative of how bad a strategy we think ads are for most agencies to generate leads. You can do it, but like your agency should be generating 20 to 50K a month before you start looking at Google ads or Facebook ads as a lead gen source, for all of the same reasons, because there's a learning curve to it. It's going to take some time, the ROI, the fact that you're going to have to put out cash, and because there's just better options available. The big thing that most people have to work on is identifying RGAs, revenue generating activities, prioritizing them in their schedule, focusing on a niche, finding the best service that solves the biggest pain and problem for them, and then tweaking and refining and optimizing it. I think of all of the work that we do inside the Agency Accelerator, I think the most valuable thing we do, Dave, probably is helping people like refine their offers. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Because like someone will come in with an agency and they'll be stuck at 2 to 3 clients and unable to scale. And we can take a look at their offer and we can break it down with our marketing experts and copywriters and all of us. And we look at it pretty quickly. It's obvious, like, here's the problem, change this around, try this, offer this instead, move this there. And then things take off. So like that's the priority, not ads or making more videos. Like there's no point driving traffic to an offer that just isn't converting.
Yeah, agreed. Getting clarity on that as well and being clear on it and then sticking to it. That's the key.
Yeah.
I think, like we said at the start of this video, like it's not complicated. If you stick to something long enough, you're going to see results in it as long as you're doing the right things and you're being consistent. Yeah, 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K, those days they'll definitely come.
100K days. That's the secret. That's changing. There's this, I was writing this new ad or whatever, and I was looking for inspiration. I heard this line, and the dude, what did he say? It was something like, if you've never been rich before, I highly recommend it. It's great. And it was really funny because I was thinking about like my former broke ass self when I was like, I have nothing. And I'm like eating craft dinner and drinking Folgers coffee. And it was like, is this going to work? Like, this is not cool. And looking back to those days and be like, oh man, it is going to work. And I still like a good cup of Folgers and craft dinner as much as the next guy, but it's nice to not have to.
It's getting around people though, isn't it? And we've spoken about that before. It's like getting around people that have done it and feeling it and speaking to them and starting to see how they operate. And, that's what we have in the accelerator. Everyone's together and everyone's working on those things. So if you could get into the community or be around friends or people that are in business, that can always help. Like we said right at the start when you had your rant, like if you're around people that don't believe in your idea, your business, or are jealous of what you're doing, you need to get rid of them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And if they're family members, then I don't know what to say. Can't really do a lot about that.
Move out, live in a tent in the backyard. Yeah. It's like, no, for real. It sounds super harsh, but I did go through a phase where I had to, I wasn't sure enough about myself yet. So I had to just cut everyone else out. And then once I was secure in like who I was and confident in my abilities, then I could let them back in. And that's fine. And then even now I'm just like, I'll take them in controlled doses because some people I just don't like. But like you got to see them, I don't know, at Christmas or whatever it is. I like most people, so that's saying something. Where was I going with this? I think that's enough. We'll leave that one there. Yep. Clark, I don't miss Canada. Wait till winter, right? Oh, that's the time. I always get out of here for the winter. What's
Skiing
that?
And Skiing and
snowboarding. True. I like snowboarding, but I also like beaches that aren't covered in snow. So tough stuff. 19 years old, about to launch an SMMA. Do I have to choose one specific niche? Can I target small businesses in general when offering small tools like missed call, text back, CRM, etc.? The general rule for 99% of the people is you got to pick a niche. Yeah. The exception is if you happen to live in a large metropolitan area and you're willing to do local networking and like go door to door selling them on that service, then you can. But if you're going to be targeting nationally or internationally or anything like that, you're just going to blend in with everybody else. So got a niche.
Yeah.
Katrina, how often do you follow up with clients after the sale? After the sale or before the sale?
I think they're a client, so it depends on the service, I would say. So for me, like within the first month, I want to build a really good rapport with that client. I want to over deliver. We're not necessarily getting results yet. So I want to be like, my customer service has got to be A star. So I would have an onboarding call with them. I would then follow up with an email. And then my cadence, because I ran a Facebook and Instagram ads agency, was every week, every Monday, I would send them a Loom video. They would see my face. I would go through all the information. And then if they wanted to, I'd offer them a call. 9 times out of 10, no one's jumping on a call, but I just want to make sure it's there and it's offered and they see me and they know I'm showing up. And on that loom, I'd literally go, hey, hope you're good. Here's what's happened over the last 7 days. Here's what I'm seeing, and here's what I'm going to be working on the next 7 days. Any questions, just let me know. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, right on. So I got 2 thoughts on this one. The first of which is like, let's assume they bought and they're in and they're now a client. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to confirm that they made the right decision and remove any form of buyer's remorse. So this typically happens within like hours of making the sale. So there has to be some kind of contact or outreach. It can be an email, it can be a phone call. I'll pretty much always send like a Loom video. So again, just a video recording of like, hey, Katrina, it's Adam here. So great to have you along. Super excited to work with you. Look below this video. You're going to find a bunch of links. This is how you're going to get a hold of me if you have any questions about this, and then I'll lay out next steps. After that, I want to have another conversation within a few days. After that, I want to have it like once a week. I'm doing touch points, like a check-in for the first month. So basically once a week. Hey, here's exactly what Dave said. And I do that for a week. And then I might space it out to every second week, or I'm pretty quick at them. So I just do like one a week and send over a Loom video, and they see my big dumb face and I'm like, hi, I'm still doing things. And I'm basically just confirming that I'm still alive and working on their stuff. That's really it. And exactly like Dave said, if you want to hop on a call, here's a link. No one ever books a call. If they do, they tend to book it like in the first month or 2, and then they just don't because they trust you. That's really what this is about. Now, the flip side, how often do you follow up with a client prior to the sale? And there's a quote that says, until they buy or die, which is kind of the case. So we follow up until someone tells us to stop, or they become a client. So most people make no follow-ups, followed by maybe 1, where most of the sales happen on like follow-up 4 or 5. So we need to follow up. Yeah, I think that's it. Cool. All right, my man, I have got to run. Our time has come. It's time to go. Cool. Oh, hang on, Bilal, you got one more, and then we'll wrap it, and then we'll go for it. How to find a business owner's personal phone number? You can't, but that's okay, because you don't need their personal phone number unless they mark it publicly. Because if you're doing that, then it starts to become a little bit weird. Like, how did you get this number? Like, they basically need to opt in for you to call, especially if it starts to go into like B2C territory. So yes, you don't want to, and you don't have to, because you can get their business phone number, you can get their business email, you can get their team, you can reach them on social media. There's so many other ways. And that way is, it's just not best practices, because like I don't know, I have to change my phone number all the time because somehow this thing always gets out. And like, if someone called me and they were just like pitching their services, I would not hire them, and I'd be pretty choked. So yes. All right. All set. All right, my man. I think that's everything.
That's a wrap. Yeah,
okay, well,
awesome. Another good week. We'll see you guys next week for another Q&A.
Sounds perfect. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you in a bit. See you later.
See you guys.